It's Wednesdays alive with Ruff. It's Wednesdays live with Ruff. It's Wednesdays live with Ruff. Hey, Wednesdays live with Ruff. What? It's Wednesdays alive with Ruff. It's Wednesdays live with Ruff. And Wednesdays live with Ruff. It's Wednesdays live with Ruff. It's Wednesdays live with Ruff. Wednesdays live with Ruff. It's Wednesdays live with Ruff. Wednesdays live with Ruff. Hey, it's Wednesdays live with Ruff. It's Wednesdays live with Ruff. It's Wednesdays live with Ruff. It's Wednesdays. What? It's Wednesdays live with Ruff. Come on. Wednesdays live with Ruff. It's Wednesdays live with Ruff. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. You are tuned into Wednesdays live with Rowzina. Rowzina, it's me. That's me. Glad to be here another Wednesday. I'm so glad I set my alarm. I gotta make sure I do that before I take naps after work, because if not, I'll be missing stuff that I'm supposed to be at, but I come home tired. So yeah, and all that wonderful good stuff. Um, Long day at work. We're still doing state testing with what I call a twist. We'll be making it happen. Had to make some adjustments. That has become a little stressful on the staff, stressful on the students. But as always, we making it shake, we making it happen, and we are successful. Students are successful, staff is successful, everybody wins, and all that good stuff. Oh boy. Um. So yeah, real quick, and the topic for this week was or is healthy boundaries, and just catching up over the week. On this past weekend, real quick, I was able to attend a women's fellowship, and the topic was sisterhood, dealing with mental health, and dealing with sisterhood, being your sister's keeper, and just showing up for people that you say is your sister, and like how you can show up for them, why you should show up for them, and stuff like that. It was a great, excuse me, God bless me. It was a great reminder and an eye opener. It allowed me to check myself real quick and just make sure I'm being the sister that I claim that I'm supposed to be to the people who are my sisters, and that I'm showing up for them like I'm supposed to be, and I'm not just half stepping doing it and all that good stuff. But I also at the same time reminded me that I can't let my own personal stuff get in the way, which I don't, thankfully, to be as unbiased as possible, so to speak. And just allowed me to take a moment to reevaluate my circle and reevaluate my circle and remember the roles that people play in your life, because everybody is not meant to be in your life, everybody's not meant to stay in your life, and all that good stuff, and just knowing where everybody's place is, right, in your life. So we talked about sisterhood, talked about mental health, making sure we're getting the support that we need when we need it so we can be a blessing to others. I say we hear this all the time, you can't pour from an empty cup, and it's so true. So true. Because start pouring from an empty cup and you pour out so much and then you're depleted, and then what, right? And then what? So yeah, we talked about sisterhood. That also includes with setting healthy boundaries, right? So being okay with saying no, because it really is a complete sentence. Because I'm not obligated to explain anything to you. On the plus side, I feel that statement depends also on who it is you're saying no to. Because sometimes we leave people hanging who we shouldn't leave hanging without valid reasoning. Um, but at the same time, no, we're not obligated to explain anything to anybody, right? But I do my best to make sure those close to me know my reasoning. But if you're not in that immediate vicinity of the good circle, my no is just my no, right? And that's that. But setting healthy boundaries, knowing when to tell people no, knowing when to take yourself out of certain situations, knowing when to stand up for yourself. We After dealing with certain situations, I realized that I allowed certain things to go on longer than they should have, right? So after a while, once I set that boundary, that's when I was no longer wanted around or no longer needed, or things with issues will pop up that were never there before, um, just to force my hand, so to speak. And then I bow out gracefully, and then I'm still looked at as the wrong person or the negative person, or I'm not a team player. I'm standing up for myself, but God bless you anyhow, right? I'm standing up for me and making sure my peace is kept intact. So if you feel like I'm not being a team player after that, God bless you, because I've been a team player the whole time. But even that wasn't always good enough, right? So just making sure we are setting these boundaries, taking up for ourselves, being okay with saying no to those who need to know and know, and only explaining things to those who really need to get an explanation, because everybody doesn't need an explanation. Everybody doesn't need to know. I realize that certain people play different roles in my life. I know who to call for what. I know who to lean on for what. I know who to depend on for what. I know who not to depend on for certain things. I know who won't know. I know who to test, and I've done it a few times. Um, Certain information I'm okay with other people knowing. So yeah, I know who to test and who not to test, because sometimes you just need to know what's really going on. But I tell people often, I know more than I let on. So just because I don't say anything about it doesn't mean I'm not aware about it. So my first go to, not always first, but it needs to be first. My first thing is always to let me go pray about that, because if I don't, my response or my reaction may come out in a way that it's not supposed to. Uh, so I'm usually aware of a lot more than I let on them. I tell my students that too. I've been dealing with things differently with my kids at work on purpose, because number one, I'm not arguing with nobody's child. I'm just not going to do that. And at this point in my life, I'm not arguing with nobody's adult. I'm just not going to do that. So at this point, I'm usually at the point where I let people believe what they want to believe. And I go on with my life, because what I don't do is lose sleep. And I only time my sleep pattern is off is if I come home and take a nap too early, then I'm up at night. But other than that, I don't lose sleep. Only thing that's causes me stress at the moment is my job, and a good stress though, not a bad stress. I refuse to allow people to bug me out, to trip me out. I will sit quietly, realize more and more how much more of an introvert I really am, especially after my trip the other weekend. I will gladly sit there quietly and look at you and pretend like I don't know what's going on and smile while I'm praying for you and trying to figure out how to get away from you at the same time. Bless the Lord. Because like I'm too old, man. I just don't have time for different things, so my boundaries will change. My boundaries have changed. Um, Even if I don't speak up about it, some things the Lord just wants me to learn from and let go of, and that's okay too. So at that moment, I'm just pushing forward. I'm not about to sit and play childish games with no adult. I don't do it with the kids. If I want to play games, I'll get on the Uno table. We can play spades, dominoes. Let's go. What's good? But I'm not about to mess up my mental health, mess up my self care, however you want to say it, for the sake of anybody else. And like I always say, when I talk about self care, it's never me putting myself before God. God comes first all the time. But it's also not putting myself in situations or predicaments to where I am coming out damaged on the far end of the whole thing. Don't nobody got time for that. I've been through enough to where healing had to take place because I've allowed so much to go on that I didn't take care of in the first place when it happened, and now I'm still dealing with the residue of that in some situations. So that just means up, I'm recognizing that flag. I got to deal with it differently. Up, I've seen this before. How can I handle it? So I'm coming out in a healthy way. Up, this reminds me of something. It's triggering me. How can I push through this without the same results that I had before? Because the goal at the end of the day is always to grow, right? Always to grow, always to be healthy, always to stay healthy, to stay healed, to stay whole, and not allow anything or anyone to make you fall backwards, to make you backtrack, to make you get off track. And people will do it. People will attempt to find your buttons and push them, um, not knowing that you're stronger than you look, um, and that you can handle more than you let on. Because I don't. I've learned to adapt to the point where it's really difficult to know if something is really bothering me unless I'm telling you. And because I used to wear glasses, I squint more than I should. So always sometimes it looks like my face is all bothered and stuff, and it's really just I need to put glasses on my face. I'll be going to the eye doctor soon. Don't worry about that. So it's really becomes hard to tell if something's really bothering me unless I show it. Um, and I'm time and a place for everything, and all that good stuff. So setting healthy boundaries is important to me. That's a form of self care, as well. My big thing about self care came about because I used to let people dictate to me what I should look like, how I should feel, what I should wear, when I should wear it. If I don't have a certain look, I can't come. If I don't do a certain thing, my hair is not looking a certain way, I won't get anybody places. The devil is a lie. That meant I didn't need to be around those type of people. And that's when my boundaries started to change. And when my boundaries did change, people's responses and attitudes towards me changed. The Lord kindly tapped me on my good shoulder. Was like, I need you to pay attention to what you're doing, what they're doing, and how it's making you feel, look, and react. Once my eye opened all the way, yeah, nope, not at all. You will not talk to me any kind of way and think it's okay. Put down. You will not address me any kind of manner and think it's okay. Nope. You can keep excluding me if you would like. I promise you I'll stop showing up altogether. I'm good. I don't need selective friends. I don't need half behind relationships, friendships, situationships, not ships, won't be a ship, however you want to say it. I don't need it. And I'm not going for it. I don't have time for it. So, um, take it one step at a time when setting boundaries. It's okay to say no. It's even okay to change your mind. Um, Now, depending on even with this too, depending on who it's and who it entails. Because sometimes we flip on and off because we just don't want to be bothered, and that's understandable. But I also be mindful of who I change my mind with. Because I don't like, of course, depending on the person, you don't want to let people down, but at the same time, you don't put yourself in a predicament that's going to get you thrown completely off. Um, so you may have said yes in one moment, then thought about it, prayed about it, don't feel kind of right, not going along with what I'm trying to do, which way I'm trying to go. Nah, we're not going to do that. And that's okay. So saying no and changing your mind is fine. To me, like I said, it usually depends on making sure I'm not leaving nobody else hanging that I said I would do something for, and also making sure I'm not exhausted. I did have to not go to one event this year, which I really, really disappointed about. But I came home so tired, so exhausted that I just had to come home and go to bed. So I did miss one event this year because of that. And I'm just like, ah. But my body was like, boo, you can't do it. Don't play yourself like that. But yeah, it's okay to set that good boundary. It really is. Like, it's all good. It really is all good. Now to figure out when I'm gonna go see Sonic. I need to figure out who wants to drive because I don't really want to go into the movie theater. I would prefer to go through the drive-in. So I want to see Sonic 2. I can't wait to watch it. Sonic 1 was pretty dope. I want to see Sonic 2. We were talking about today, just chit-chatting, catching up, testing at work, making a good environment for testing for the kids, for myself, and all that good stuff. I came home and took a nap. So glad I set my alarm for 7:45. It scared me half to death, but I'm like, why am I waking up at this time of night? Oh, 8 o'clock's coming. I'm talking about setting healthy boundaries, talking about it's okay to say no, it's okay to change your mind, making sure you're not putting yourself in predicaments that are not healthy for you. Talking about one-sided friendships, but I don't have time for it. I did post something, and this whole friendship topic came up for a few reasons. No, nothing recently happened to me, but this was kind of like a reflection for me after watching a couple of my friends and a couple of my sisters and family deal with some friendship issues. I posted on my Facebook page. I recall a time I stopped associating with an individual that I was attempting to build a friendship with. Too many times to count, they only spoke to me when they needed something or when they felt they were ahead of me in some way. Once I realized my genuine efforts were being met with childish, since Rowzina is so nice, let me take advantage of her kindness mindsets, I chose to shift my boundaries. Unfortunately, me doing so resulted in this same individual assuming I was just acting funny instead of realizing that I was protecting me and my peace. It's funny how they could set the same boundaries with other people, but it was an issue with me. I don't have time for one-sided relationships, friendships of any kind. Keep that over there. That's been my hashtag for like the past year or two. And please do better. Stop expecting people to show up for you when your effort to do the same is null and void. And if the friendship is viable, have a conversation and grow. Discernment and maturity in 2022 and beyond, please. It's like sometimes miscommunication comes up, or we interpret something that looks a certain way but may not be that way. And that means you need to have a conversation instead of us assuming or thinking or believing that something is really wrong when it's really not wrong or a problem, when it's really not an issue. It's just our perception of what's really going on. So we got to be mindful of stuff like that so we're not carrying or holding on to something that's really not there. Because sometimes our mind will let us think that something is really bad, something is really wrong when it's really not an issue taking place. And then I wrote this as well. Oh, and one more thing. Know the role, like I said earlier, that you play, that people play in your life. Make sure they also feel the same way. You may feel like somebody's playing one role in your life, and they may feel like it's another. So we can't be so bothered and upset when stuff is not reciprocated the way we would like it to be, when in the long run, that person doesn't even know that the role that they play in your life, right? Make sure they also feel the same way. A lot of heartache can be avoided if everyone knew their place. The Bible tells us a friend sticks closer than a brother. So we have to be mindful of who those friends are in our lives and be okay with setting those good boundaries and knowing that everybody is not in it for the right things. Everybody is not putting out what we put out. You might be putting out, everybody doesn't always have your back the way you would like them to have your back. And like I've been saying, and I'm still saying it, I don't have time for it. I did a little switch up this year on somebody else because I had to take a step back. And I understanding people go through certain things and deal with certain things. But even when I'm dealing with stuff, I think my friends have learned me enough to know that if I stop reaching out, I'm probably going through something or I'm just busy. Nothing may not be wrong. I just got busy. I'm going to work. I'm coming home. I'm sleeping. I'm going to work. Coming home. I'm sleeping. And that's okay. So my friends know me well enough to know that if I don't reach out, they'll reach out to me, text me, you good? You all right over there? And we keep it pushing. There's no lost love. There's no, oh my God, you haven't called me. There's no, you being shady because you won't pick up the phone. We understand each other. We know each other. Same thing with them. If I realize one of my best friends ain't reached out in a minute, I'm sending hearts. I'm sending I love yous. I'm sending I appreciate you. I'm sending what's good, what's hanging. You all right over there? You need something? and we keep it pushing. Most of my circle are introverts. We would rather text each other in the first place than actually be on the phone, depending on who the person is. Some of my friends I like talking to, some of them I prefer texting. It depends on who the people are. But we just have learned each other enough to know that we don't hear from each other. Shoot a text, we good. Same thing with whoever you're dealing with. I have to be mindful of how people go through what they go through and not get offended when they don't reach out or not get offended when they don't say something to me and understand that they are also going through. But at the same time, keep in mind that we all go through stuff and that if I don't flip or switch up, I'm not expecting my friends or circles to switch up, which is why you have to know and be sure of who's in your life, why they're in your life, and the purpose that they play in your life, right? Because there's lots of people who smile in your face and be real quick to have a conversation about you right behind your back, like it was nothing, and then pretend like and act like they don't. In my case, they don't know I know. I just adjust accordingly because I probably won't tell you that I know. I'm just going to adjust some stuff. I'm just going to move some stuff around. I'm just going to shift. And if you want to take it as me acting shady, God bless you. You want to have a conversation when I'm ready, we can do that. Right? And I have to be mindful of stuff like that too. Something happens immediately. Sometimes for me, I have to take a step back. I can't have that conversation right then and there because it may not go the way that we want it to go. So sometimes I even have to take a step back and be like, I can't talk about that right now. Let me calm down. I can't talk about that. Let me think about it. I can't talk about that right now. I don't want to cause more of an issue. One thing at a time. One thing at a time. So I see you out here watching. Appreciate those who hopped on this evening, who have tuned in, who clicked the audio, who clicked the video, and all that good stuff. Y'all rocking with me, and I appreciate it. I have to turn the last two of these into a podcast and put it on my podcast. I do have a podcast. So if you're catching this after the fact, I mean, you can listen to the video on the go. You can go ahead and click on that good podcast on the go. I'm on majority of platforms on my podcast. Kingdom Motivation. I believe I'm on Apple iPodcast. I'm on Google. I'm on Spotify. I'm on a few other places on a podcast channel. So I've had it for a while. I do my best to try to turn the videos into podcasts, the audios into podcasts, because some people listen this way, some people watch the videos, some people look listening and stuff the other way. I'll be back Saturday afternoon. We may just worship. We may dive into the word. I'm not sure in which way the direction will go, but we will see that what happens with that on Saturday. Saturday at 5 on my Kingdom House of Worship church page. I'm here every Wednesday around 8 o'clock because I think I was late again today, but around 8 o'clock, chit-chatting. Saturdays, we dive into the word and all that wonderful good stuff. Trying to get back into the habit of doing things and making stuff shake and making it. I do enjoy this a lot. So, yeah, share this with somebody. Let somebody know what's going on, how they can set healthy boundaries, how they can help themselves be better in their own lives. And the story of Jairus pops into my head once again. And Jairus' daughter, when Jairus' daughter got sick and they thought she was dead, when Jesus went to go help them out, Jesus made a point to get rid of anybody who didn't believe that the child could be healed, could be rose up, could be made whole. Because everybody was naysays was saying that the baby was dead. In all essence, it looked that way. The situation didn't look alive. Jesus. The situation didn't look alive. The situation didn't look like it could be viable anymore. It can be resuscitated. It can be made better. It can be made whole because it looked like the baby was asleep. But once the Lord got rid of anybody who was speaking negatively, anybody who had nothing positive to say, had them leave the area, leave the building, he went and said, no, she's just asleep. So we have to be mindful of who is around us, who is saying things that shouldn't be saying things, who's in our corner, who is saying the wrong thing that doesn't line up with what God is saying, and make sure that they don't stay longer than they need to stay. Because sometimes in order for some things to live, we have to get rid of some things. Just like when you're planting things, you have to prune some things off the plant sometimes and get rid of it in order for it to grow a little better. Same thing with our natural hair. We want it to grow a little bit better. We got to trim those split ends and get rid of the dead stuff, right? Uh, so let's be mindful that sometimes we got to get rid of some stuff in order for things to grow. Get rid of some people in order for us to grow. Cut off some things, some dead ends, in order for things to get better. Appreciate you all for tuning in. Hope you all have a wonderful night. Listen, make the rest of this week a great one simply because you said so. I appreciate you all. Have a good night.